the Kings of Europe, who've now taken the UEFA Super Cup, the first ever French side to win this trophy in its 50th edition. But you've got to, I mean, look at the Tottenham faces there. Richarlison, we saw Romero just a few moments ago as well. It says it all, doesn't it? But for this PSG side, you know, it was as if we were watching a different PSG side for much of this game, but they really came into their own. It was that quality in those final few moments just showed that, you know, they know how to turn a game around.
Right now, obviously, it doesn't feel like that, and to lose on penalties as well is gutting, but you're playing one of the best team, if the best team in Europe. And, you know, they've turned the screw, they've put some of the for Spurs, there are positives. It might not feel like that at this moment.
As far as litmus tests go, I mean, you're up against the best team in Europe by far. They've swept everyone aside this season, and Tottenham held their own against them for massive parts of this game.
Oh, Rush, they did more than hold their own. They were the better team by far. I think Luis Enrique actually sort of apologised in a way when he went up to Thomas Frank at the end there. But for me, that's a really good... Karen's absolutely right. When they analyse the performance, now that will give them so much belief going into the Champions League. We've played against this great side that have won the Champions League. We went toe-to-toe and more, and over 90 minutes we were the better team. OK, the substitutions made the difference, but at the end of the day they've got a Champions League to play, and I think that's a template. The way they played there, don't be surprised if they play Liverpool, they play Man City, they play Arsenal, that's a template to play in the Champions League, maybe away from home. That is something that they'll really grasp, and they'll look at that and analyse it and say, we were the better team. So that's a template now to go on the front foot and go toe-to-toe with these teams. That is a massive performance from Tottenham tonight, in the sense of, from a manager's point of view. Yes, it's emotional and disappointed because you're 2-0 up and 10 minutes to go and you've lost the cup. The trophy's gone. But at the end of the day, I think it's a real positive night for Tottenham.
Yeah, as you say, it's just the manner of the defeat and the way it happened in the last few moments. But of course, as you said, you know, Karen, that there are players that are injured, and from a Tottenham fan perspective, they'll be hoping for more players to still arrive before this window closes, to strengthen further, and then to go into this new season in the Premier League, but also the league phase of the Champions League on the front foot, knowing that they can hold their own against the top teams in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, look, we mentioned how good the set pieces were tonight, and there was moments where they got into the final third and probably lacked that cutting edge, and I thought Richarlison played well tonight leading that line, and obviously Kudos was up there, but you know, they're going to need reinforcements, and as you mentioned it, and they are heavily linked with a couple of players, and I'll be respectful of who they are, but they are linked, and I think if you can try and get them in the door before the window shuts, you know, like Glenn says, the formula and the structure that the managers put in tonight, adding a couple more attacking players, because don't forget, you've lost Maddison, Kulusevski, Solanke's come on, he hasn't really featured so far, you know, Doggy as well, he's keen going forward at times for them. These are players that are out that are your first team regulars, so once you start to get some extra bodies in, it's quite positive. I mean, if we're honest, did we think, you know, going into this game, how would Spurs do against one of the best teams in Europe? I think we would have taken this tonight. It's just the manner in which the game's been lost, unfortunately.
Mentality-wise, Glenn, have we now seen a shift in this Tottenham Hotspur side? Last season, they lost 26 games across the course of the season, 22 in the Premier League as well. Then they won the Europa League, albeit it was a scrappy final, not one of the best. It's not vintage, not one of the best we've ever seen, but they did get over the line. And here tonight as well, against a big team. You know, Thomas Frank talked about how he showed a picture of the team winning the Europa League. That's got to give you that impetus, hasn't it? That, you know, we can actually win things, and we're now a team that are putting ourselves in that position to do that. That's
the belief. It gives you belief that, you know, a performance like that against the best at the moment and one of the favourites for the Champions League next year. Yeah, you've got, as I said, you go toe-to-toe. The problem with Tottenham at the moment that I see is we've lost Maddison and Kulusevski, two players who are really creative. Now, not tonight, but there's going to be first game of the season, Burnley at home. When we've got to break a team down, when they're banked in and we've got to break a team down, I'm not sure we've got enough in the locker at the moment. Yes, Karen's right, they might be bringing in other players because of the injuries they've got to those two players, particularly the creators, if you like. At the moment, I can't see how they can break a team down. But I think a team like that, when it's an open game, I think they've proved to themselves they can go toe to toe with anyone.
I think it's also like a lesson that you're going to learn in the Champions League, that you know, teams like Paris Saint-Germain, they'll have 1 or 2 moments and they will be absolutely ruthless. And again, although it hurts tonight, but these are big moments throughout the season that you'll remember. You go, we have to stay concentrated, we have to go up to the ball, our legs might be hurting, we might be fatigued. These top teams that you're going to play in the Champions League, they will cut you open in 1 attack, 2 attacks, and then all of a sudden you've gone from 2-0 up and you're like, what's happened? But look, I'm sure we'll get into it furthermore.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Well, look, that is the UEFA Super Cup trophy that PSG will be picking up any moment. They're getting used to this, aren't they? Lifting trophies on the European circuit. Not so for Tottenham tonight. It wasn't their evening, but certainly PSG will be relishing this moment. The referees are about to head up, so it means the entire trophy ceremony has now been